NeonicVoid Productions presents.
You would think, after doing so many of these podcasts of like horror and mythology and now comics, I would finally learn how to do an intro. But hi, welcome to the House of Ideas. This is a comic book podcast, or a Marvel podcast for the moment. I am your host. I was about to say host and DM. We're not playing D&D today. I am your host, Devin. And today I have a guest that is not one of my co-hosts on one of my other podcasts. He is from the Twitterverse of the Marvel fandom, as well as a past podcaster himself. Introducing. Add sound effects post production, Devin, please add sound effects. This is Jonathan, aka Jonathan Loves the X-Men. I like an audience clap. Wait, I have a sound effect for that. Hold up, I have a sound effect. Where are you? No, that was bad.
Oh damn.
That was bad.
That's ominous.
The clap.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's actually Jonathan _loves _X-Men.
X-Men. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah. You got to put in the underscore there. I love my underscores.
That's true.
On Instagram, anyway. On Twitter, I'm Jonathan Loves X-Men, but the handle is Jonathan _EFF. Anyway, yeah, that's me. My name's Jonathan. I love Marvel Comics. More than anything, I love X-Men and mutants, and so thanks for having me on.
Of course. So, I guess to get the conversation going, how did you get into, what's your Marvel Comics origin story, or comics origin story?
Sure, actually, my comics origin story is, my grandmother used to take me to local garage sales in town. I was very young. So I was like 6 years old when I first saw a comic book, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. It was actually a DC comic, believe it or not. It was a Firestorm comic. I don't remember what issue. I don't remember what the issue was about, but all I remember was I saw on the cover this guy was like orange and like his head was on fire, and I thought that was amazing. I was like 6 years old, and I was like, yeah, get me that. So I thought that was really cool. And then not long after that, I was at the local like Quickie Mart with my grandmother, and they had a spinner rack, and there was the cover of X-Force number 5, X-Force Volume 1 number 5, and it looked like the coolest thing. Like, I'm sorry, y'all, if you some people out there may know what I'm talking about. I am not a big fan of the man himself, Rob Liefeld, and I'll just leave it there. But as a kid, that just absolutely captured my imagination. On that cover was the first appearance of Toad's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. So there was Toad, Blob, Sauron, Fantasia, and Pyro. And I saw Pyro, and because he had the similar color scheme as Firestorm, I was like, oh, that guy's awesome. And then, I read the comic, and that was it. I was sold on mutants, and I started picking up X-Force regularly at the age of like 6, 7 years old. And yeah, just fell in love with mutants and comics from there.
Okay. I like that. Now, X-Force is a very interesting start, because I know a lot of people in the community, especially the X-Men community, some of them don't like X-Force. That's an interesting start.
Why don't they like X-Force? Are they too
I don't know.
edgy?
I guess because there seems to be, from what I've noticed, there seems to be a very a group that really just doesn't like the X-Force for whatever reason. I think it's kind of rad. It's different. I mean, for God's sakes, it's a different vibe compared to the X-Men. So I mean, any way to get X-Men content outside of the writer in question for that one in particular, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can understand what some people think. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, it was the early 90s, and that was the whole thing at the time, like, big muscles, big guns, big people, everything is extreme in your face. We literally got Adam X the Extreme, who I love, by the way, so no shade at him, but, like, I mean, that's sort of what it was at the time, and hey, that's not me as a kid. It's not that I thought like, oh, big muscles and big manly men. I just thought that the characters were cool. I thought that their powers were cool, and the more I got into them, and I got into them pretty quickly. I started talking to trading cards and looking at other titles. I found that the X-Men and mutants just gained their powers at puberty. Like I knew what the Fantastic Four were. I knew about Captain America and the Incredible Hulk, and there are always like accidents or other situations where these characters get their powers from. But to me, it's like, no, we're just born with it, and then typically at puberty is when your powers manifest. And as a small child, I was like, fuck, that might be. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm cursed. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, you can curse. You can curse as much as you want.
Okay, thank you. I just thought that could be me. Like I'm like 6 or 7 years old. I'm like, oh, maybe when I get older, I'm a teenager and adult, I'll have cool powers too. Like that was my thought. So yeah, I thought that they were amazing. And I don't have cool superpowers yet, but that's okay because I still love mutants.
Oh, if only we could have superpowers. Because granted, I went over my origin story last week, but to reiterate, I was one of those kids back in the 90s that would watch the X-Men 90s cartoon as well as like Spider-Man. And then I didn't really get into comics until like... when I officially got into Marvel comics outside of like the MCU and the animation stuff, it was like 2015. Mm-hmm. It was the Secret Wars. When literally I jumped in, because the comic book people at the store I go to, it's like, this would be a great point to jump in, because I was like, cool, I want to jump in, where do I start? And they're like, start here. And I'm like, oh, bet. So, and then one thing led to another, and I will defend Secret Wars 2015 forever, because that's an amazing story of Doctor Doom. But this is not a Doctor Doom episode. So today, but trust, Doctor Doom will get an episode, and no one's gonna be ready. So today we're going to be talking about somebody that is a mutant in the world of the X-Men, more specifically the realm of the Wolverine side of the X-Men. Today we're going to be talking about Gabrielle Kinney. Yes. No. Yeah. Yes.
Gabrielle Kinney.
Yeah, Gabrielle Kinney. Gabriella. Oh my God. Gabrielle Kinney, aka Gabby Kinney, aka Honey Badger, aka Scout, as she's currently being called.
Yeah. She's
right. She was created by Tom Taylor, David Lopez, and David. God, I'm terrible with last names. Neverott?
Neverott. I think
Neverott?
that's fair. Yeah.
I was close. My dyslexic self was close. Neverott. Yeah, those three. And her first appearance was in All New Wolverine #2. That was released back in 2015. And she was introduced as Gabby. So, why did you choose this character? Because I did give a bunch of my guests the option of what character they would like to do. And Jonathan here chose Gabby. I'm curious, why?
That's a good question. I don't really know. I mean, she's up there on my list of favorite mutants, and I do have an official list. she's in the top 15. Um, but I just figured she might be the most fun, out of like the characters that I love. I mean, yeah, she makes me happy. She's like really a comfort character. I don't really know many people that don't like her, and if there's somebody out there that doesn't like her, I don't want to be friends with them or associate with them. Like, everybody has their opinions, right? And like, it's fine. Like, my favorite is Tyro, and I know there are people that are like, what the hell's wrong with you? But yeah, like when it comes to Gabby, like you just kind of have to love her. She just makes me happy, and this is a good excuse for me to go back and like read all of her appearances because it's been a while. So like a character like her and a character like Pixie, they just make me happy every time they show up. So yeah, I picked Gabby. And besides, she's the sister of my second favorite Marvel character or fictional character anyway, which is Laura Kinney, her older sister.
Laura.
Yeah.
I love Laura. Like before this episode, I have never read the all new Wolverine. It's been on my list, but I've never tackled it.
There you go.
So I was reading it, and I'm like, you know what? Laura kind of slaps.
She slaps the hardest. She is the biggest and best slapper I've ever known. I love Laura Kinney so very much. The New Wolverine is an amazing series. I'm so glad that this was a good excuse for you to read that series. It's one of my favorites. Yeah, Laura is awesome. Her entire history is amazing. So much of it is painful. There's been so much growth there. She is tattooed on my left arm. I love her so much. But it's nice too to see, able to read about Gabby too. And obviously Laura is in almost all of Gabby's appearances, not all of them.
Yeah. A good chunk of them.
Yeah, it's what we get to more recently. But there's also been like some growth. And also I think what's interesting too is seeing the contrast, at least I noticed the contrast between Gabby and Laura. Between their first appearances, their personalities, how they grew up, and how they developed as characters. It's a bit of a stark contrast. I'm sure we'll get into more of the discussion there, but Laura was, like, she was raised largely in isolation, kept in a cage, not allowed really any like emotional depth with anybody. And anybody who was close to her was either killed or she killed her own mother. Yeah. Gabby, on the other hand, although she was raised in an awful situation, in this facility where they were like experimenting with genetics and clones, Gabby had sisters. Gabby was a child, but she had older sisters who looked after her, who loved her, trying to take care of her. And so you sort of see this joy and innocence within Gabby, even though there is seriousness there that you don't see with Laura. Laura, it's just like in her earliest appearances, it was just sad, I mean, she was sent out to kill people. She had no control over her own life. She had, her emotions were all suppressed. Any love was suppressed, and so it's a really interesting contrast between Laura and Gabby and how the two of them, after only a few issues, Laura took on the big sister / mother-ish role of Gabby. And it was really interesting dynamic, and I love the two of them.
Well said. Couldn't say it better myself. But no, yeah, because I've only heard before this, I've only heard about Gabby in passing, and I'm like, and then when you offered up to hey, I want to do an episode on Gabby Kinney, and I'm like, bet, gives me an excuse to read it, because part of the reason why I did this podcast is to get myself to read all the backlog of comics I've missed out on over the years since I came in late to the party. So
excellent.
I took the opportunity, and I love it. Gabby is funny. She has that layer of, and she has the innocence, but she has a layer of, like, as you said, she can be serious, but it's like covered under the comedic and the innocence of like she's only 13. So the fact that she's gone through all this and she could still be happy-go-lucky and cracking jokes and shit, and excited to see her honey badger pet, Wolverine, her Wolverine pet, all the time. Like it's how do I put it? It's interesting that she still keeps a hold of that mentality even after all that she's been through with her sisters Zelda and Bellana.
Yeah, for sure. It's it's kind of wild. Like I was reading all this when it came out, and
Yeah.
I don't remember vividly my reactions. I thought that these were great stories, and I thought that these sisters were. I didn't know where any of it was heading, but you have this child. She's got like a little barrette in her hair. She's got like the mismatched leggings on, and she's like carrying a gun. But in a fight with some of the soldiers from that, like what was it, Alchemax facility, Laura cut off like the fingers of some guy, and somebody points out, oh, what if he's a piano player? And so Gabby goes and collects the fingers and leaves them next to the unconscious body of this guy who just got his fingers cut off, just in case he's a piano player and wants to get them reattached. And
Right?
it's funny, but it's
So
like
good.
so innocent. But like, girl, you're carrying a gun and you're shooting people. Like you're on the run, like you're running for your life, literally.
But she cares about the little things, like, oh my god, what if this guy can't play piano anymore?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, it's like some of that is why her charm and humor works, because she's not trying to be humorous. She's not cracking jokes. She's just being herself. Like her sense of care is there. She's not cynical and angry like Bellana, who just wants to stab everything. Or shoot everything. Like, when Laura and the sisters go to Doctor Strange for help, Bellana shoots some of the shelves there from looking at her, because like it's a magical dresser or something, and looking at her, she's really looking to see it. Bellana's just angry. But Gabby isn't. She just inherently isn't. And again, that brings you back to my point before about how it's a very similar situation. These women were created. All of these women, Laura, Bellana, Zelda, Gabby, all created as souls, and all created to be weapons. Not to have any agency over their bodies, not allowed to have any will of their own. But Laura fought largely in isolation. Whereas Gabby, Bellana, Zelda, there were other clones that we don't know about. There was like a total of 10 of them. The first one we're introduced to in the first issue, I think it was X23_PIR, he killed himself. So we don't know her at all. And side note, she killed herself in Paris, and her abbreviation is PAR. Was her name Paris? I don't know. I asked Tom Taylor on Twitter. He never answered. I'm going to take that as information. But
now,
anyway.
Hold that thought right quick.
Yeah. Sure.
Your audio is breaking up currently. Are you? Because it's. How do I explain it? Are you near your mic, or are you like away from it?
No, I'm right in front of it. Can you hear me?
Yes, but it's very what do they call it? Staticky. If that makes sense.
Is it really?
A little bit. Because are you using your mic from your computer itself, or like an external?
No, I'm using it from my computer, my laptop.
Okay, now you sound better. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Continue on. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. So anyway, Gabby grew up, surrounded by people who are like her.
Yeah.
Obviously she's, as far as we know anyway, out of the 10 of them, she's the youngest of them. So she was sort of raised as like the child of the group, you can imagine. So you would think like Bellana, Zelda, any of the others,
yeah,
were sort of like what Laura eventually became, and they were sort of like, you know, the older sisters, and they took on that role of almost like a motherly type of role. Almost, because I mean, still, you know, I mean, Gabby is deadly. Gabby knows her way around a fight. She obviously she's been trained as an assassin. She knows how to use guns. So obviously, there's a lot of innocence lost there. But still, she has the personality. She's, you know, where the best place she could be for someone her age who has been through what she's been through.
I mean, she took on the Taskmaster for, like, I was kind of shook. I'm like, Taskmaster? She took him on and, like, survived.
Yeah, for real. That was a fun fight. That was really fun. I loved when when Laura threw a punch and Taskmaster catches it, and he thinks he's so funny, and then Laura just pops the claws right through his fist. That was hilarious. Yeah. I love that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the first introduction, because you don't really think that she, as far as we know from the beginning of All New Wolverine, that she just is a clone, not necessarily a mutant in the sense of, like, she doesn't have claws, or so we think. She just is a trained assassin. Her pain sensors are turned off, so she doesn't feel any pain. So, like, if she gets shot or whatever, she won't know unless she looks and says, "Oh, I'm bleeding," because that's what happens with a couple of her sisters. Well, one of them in particular, and then the pain. Then once they figure out what's going on with the whole pain sensor thing, it's like these little, what do they call it, little micro organism robots things, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta take care of this because this is killing what, Zelda?" I think it's killing Zelda. So they went to Doctor Strange, and he's like, "Girl, I can't do this. This is not my forte. Those are too small for me to do." So he sent them over to Hank Pym's laboratory, and the original Wasp, Janet Van Dyne, was there. And she's like, "Who are you? Who sent you?" And those are my favorite interactions, because Gabby was just like, "Oh yeah, Doctor Strange sent us." And she's like, "Oh really? He did." And then she calls him and she's like, "Strange, Steven, call me back."
Yeah, she's like, pissed. Damn. That was really funny.
I laughed way harder than it should, because I kind of just want to hear that call later on in the day. That Strange's like, "Yeah, so you sent a child and 2 adults with Wolverine into my lab and didn't bother telling me?"
Yeah,
it's so good. And I didn't. And I mean, it's one of those things that you don't really think about, because, again, I'm not too. There's a lot of stuff I did miss in the older comics before 2015 or around 2015. So finding out that Janet Van Dyne and Strange know each other enough to have each other's number is really interesting to me. I'm like, oh, did they date?
Oh my god.
Because, I mean, Hank is trash, but, like, Steven, though. Steven's just a little arrogant. You can get past that. So,
yeah, but, you know, I mean, he's a doctor. So, you know, he's kind of dreamy, I suppose. I don't know. I don't pay enough attention to the Avengers side of things, but I just kind of assume that it's similar to mutants in that lots of people have slept with lots of people.
Yeah.
I mean, at least I hope so.
I'm sure. I mean, Tony slept with everybody. So.
Yeah, that's pretty well known. And he's been hanging out with Emma Frost a little bit lately, which makes me a little nervous.
It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, I never cared too much about Iron Man. I'm happy that he and Emma are comfortable with each other and hanging out, but that's kind of as far as I want it to go.
But what's funny is the fact we're talking about tea between characters in the Marvel world. I feel like Gabby would just be like, "Oh, I want all the drama because she thrives off the drama and the tea and whatever is going on in Laura's life or happening. She's like, I want to know. Oh, there's some shit going on. Spill it. I need to know everything.
Yeah.
She's a nosy 13-year-old. and that's so great.
True. Yeah. No, good for her.
So from there, throughout the beginning of the story, there's this whole plot with what do they call it? The Wasp and Wolverine going inside Zelda's body, fighting off those micro robot things that are killing off the pain receptors, as well as killing Zelda. And then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came into the mix and all the mess. And while they were still inside of her, and I'm just like, oh no. The guards found them. The, what do they call it? Captain Mooney. Is that his name? Mooney. Captain Mooney. They should have just killed him from the get-go. I'm just saying.
Yeah, for real.
I get it. Some of the Wolverine characters especially don't want to kill people, but sometimes... you won't have problems if you just take care of them. But I get why they don't like to, because a lot of their back history on the majority of those characters. That's all they were was assassins and shit.
Exactly. Yeah, but sometimes it's okay to kill your problems away. Sometimes it's necessary. But yeah,
granted, go on.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you made a great point. I mean that's all Laura knew. Growing up, she was a child was killing, and so yeah, she's Wolverine, but she doesn't want to be like the killer. I mean, she's even worked with the X-Men and has killed. She was on X-Force before this. But unfortunately, because she did the humane thing, and I don't fault her for it.
No.
But unfortunately, Mooney is still alive. He finds their location and he shoots Zelda in the belly, and that ends up killing her. And she dies right in front of Gabby, and it's really bad.
Traumatizing.
Yeah, it really, really is. She literally tells Gabby, like, Valana and Laura will look after you. Yeah, it's really sad. Poor Zelda. And like, this is one of those things where, I mean, like, there's been the Krakoan era for years, and it's like, oh, well, can they be resurrected? And it'll clone.
Well, I mean...
That's a very interesting discussion to be had about that, which Gabby herself brings up much, much later.
Oh, yeah, of course, because she ended up being a prime suspect of that when she dies in the current times. And they're like, we're not going to resurrect clones. And they're like, what the fuck do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, back in this time, it was just a sad thing to see. But, I mean, Laura obviously wasn't going to die, and we still had Valana. So it was like, oh, okay, so what's going to happen? Is Valana going to die? Is Gabby going to die? They have these nanites in them that are allegedly killing them. Yeah. But I'm glad that obviously didn't happen. And we find out, more about Gabby, that she hasn't been 100% truthful to Laura or to the reader.
I was a little shook. I'm like, with the whole old man Logan, because if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, the current Wolverine, the 616 Logan, is currently, air quotes, dead. He's dead currently. Yeah. And the only Logan that's there is the alternate universe old man Logan. So he's still there. And of course, he has memories of a different timeline, so he is quite fond of Laura. But the events that are happening in 616 compared to his world are obviously way different. So he sees Gabby, and he, like, you could tell that something's up. And then he mentions to her, says, does she know? And then Gabby's like, no, but you ain't gonna say anything. Something along those lines. And you're just like, what are you hiding? And I kind of was thinking, I'm like, okay, is it what I'm thinking? And then there's a whole
like,
Old Man Logan story with them.
Yeah, and it was kind of like, like why are you hiding this? Like why are you scared? Like we know you have claws.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
a healing factor.
She did pop them out already. But like why are you hiding this? And also it was interesting because Old Man Logan speaks of Gabby as though she's a terrible person. Which she is apparently, where in the timeline he comes from, and that's really, really difficult to imagine. Like,
right.
And what's wild is unfortunately we never get to see that, but I have a theory about it.
Oh, please do tell.
Yeah, so in Age of X-Man, Gabby is featured prominently in Prisoner X. She's in prison. She's in prison.
Enemy
so
of the state.
The thing is she, that is the 616 universe, but it's just sort of like, everybody is in Nate Gray's little fun cage that he's made for mutants. And Gabby is really angry. Gabby is really angry. She's a bully. She's a jerk. She talks shit to Bishop. She talks shit to other people in there. She's even got Beast kind of wrapped around her finger. When Bishop even talks to her, Beast comes and fights him. So my theory about that is not that is like the same sort of thing that Gabby is in Old Man Logan's future, but I think it's possible because in Age of X-Man, everyone is just kind of born alone. There's people aren't having sex to reproduce. There's no love. There's no close relationships. And ultimately, I think that's why Gabby is an asshole in Age of X-Man. And I think a similar thing probably happened in Old Man Logan's timeline. Without the love and care that Gabby had growing up, even if she had no agency, no will, no freedom, she still had the love of the clones around her who were like her sisters and her caregivers. And I think that's what made her such a sweet, loving, and funny and innocent 13-year-old girl. But without that sort of love and nurturing, like in Age of X-Man, she had no memories, right? They were wiped from her by Nick Gray. That's what makes her an asshole. That's my theory anyway. So I think in Old Man Logan's timeline, Gabby probably somehow missed out on that love and care and family growing up, and that's what turned her into a bully and ultimately whatever sort of killer that she became. Because according to Old Man Logan, Laura and Gabby killed each other in the end, and that is a scary thought.
Right, because Laura's can be monstrous. So the fact that Gabby killed Laura, on top of Laura killing her, they killed each other. It's like, damn, Gabby, were you just you're, on the same level? Holy, you didn't even have damn.
No, that's a great point. I mean, Laura's got years of experience on Gabby, and for Gabby to be able to take her out, that's quite a feat.
Because they haven't shown what Old Man Logan's Gabby was like, right?
Exactly.
Because I'm kind of curious to see. I don't think they ever will. But it'd be cool to see a story of an Old Man Logan's world timeline and see all that play out.
Oh, it would be. I mean, and they've done numerous stories on Old Man Logan, and a couple on his timeline. There was the original timeline. And that was written by Mark Miller. And then there was a Secret Wars timeline. And then they even went back and did that miniseries Dead Logan, But they never showed that on panel. They never showed his relationship with Laura. They never showed what happened with Gabby. I don't know. Maybe they'll bring Old Man Logan back one of these days into the comics, and maybe someone will tell that story. I'd be interested to see that. I mean, even a one-shot, that would be cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because I would love to read that.
Yeah.
But, Old Man Logan does not really... He tolerates Gabby, and of course he knows Gabby's secret, but Gabby hasn't told Laura yet. And then there's this whole thing with... This is also during the time of, like, Inhumans. Humans are still a big part of the Marvel landscape. This is like I think this is during Civil War with Ulysses, that mutant that can see the potential futures.
Yeah, Civil War 2, which we all remember fondly.
I'm a weirdo. Again, Civil War 2 was one of my first big events too, not too long after Secret Wars. So I didn't hate it as much as everybody else, but it did not make my homegirl fucking Carol Danvers look good. I get it, girl. I get it. But like, somebody was manipulating Ulysses' visions from behind the scenes. Like, straight up. That's how you got Captain America Captain Hydra. Like, which that was fantastic. I love that they made Captain America evil from that. And they were just fucking with that poor Inhumans visions just to fuck with them. Just to fuck with everybody.
Yeah.
But
And I mean,
Huh?
No, sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, Lucius had a vision that Logan was going to kill Gabby. And then Shield came by and be like, hey, so we're going to have to arrest Old Man Logan. And Laura's like, the fuck? And then Carol Danvers came out and said, he's going to come in because somebody got a vision that he's going to do some harm. And Captain America is on Carol's side. And I'm just like, hold up. You don't like when the government gets all up in your business, but you're going to sit down and listen to an Inhuman that has a vision that hasn't happened yet?
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, 100%.
When Tony is right, that's when you know something's wrong. But yeah, Louis, Carol, Steve, and Shield came by to take in Logan, and Laura's like, what are you doing? And they're like, he's going to kill somebody. He's like, he hasn't done shit yet. And then shit hit the fan, and that's when Old Man Logan ran off. They chased him, blah, blah, blah. At the end of all that, Old Man Logan did stab with his claws Gabby.
Yeah. Like,
I was shook.
Yeah, and it's only because, it's only because Captain America and S.H.I.E.L.D. came to stop it from happening.
Exactly.
And they literally caused it to happen. Like, oh, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, thanks a lot, Ulysses. What the fuck?
Exactly. Same thing with everything else that happened in that.
Yeah.
Except for the whole Captain America being killed by Miles, that was just manipulated. But still, majority of those visions came true because of Lucius opening his mouth and being like, hey. So, like, this is going to happen, and then they make it happen, basically. It's just like, Lucius, go talk to Destiny. Go conjure her up and ask her what the hell to do with your visions, because she'll probably tell you your visions are shit. Because they're shit.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta keep your mouth shut, you know? Like, keep your opinions to yourself. But, that's the Inhumans for you. But that's the thing. Like, okay, so they had this vision that he was going to kill Gabby, and then it seems like he killed Gabby.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, we know she has claws. Laura doesn't.
Yeah.
We can hope that she has a healing factor.
Yeah.
But it wasn't confirmed, essentially, until this happened. I mean, like, they covered her up like she was a dead body. And then she just sits up and is like, where's Laura? Where's Wolverine? And she just gets up and runs off. Scares the shit out of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Right?
And it's like, okay, great, Gabby. Okay, Gabby's got the healing too. You know, Laura and Old Man Logan are fighting, but then Gabby shows up and, you know, reveals everything to Laura, and everybody's happy. We're all happy. We're all a happy family again, except Old Man Logan can fuck off.
Poor Old Man Logan. He can not just catch a break.
Yeah, no, really. He had a pretty miserable life.
Yeah.
But I have to say though, I liked him and I found him more compelling than 616 Wolverine, who I like to call middle-aged man Logan.
I mean, you're right. You're not wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked him. Of course, he was just like an excuse because it's like, oh, look, we're killing Logan. We're killing Wolverine. But JK, we're going to bring in an alternate universe and version and put him in a bunch of books. It was okay. You know, I mean, I kind of liked him, but eventually he had to go. And he did. But it was fun while he stuck around. You know, I mean, before Gabby and him, you know, started fighting and S.H.I.E.L.D. came in, she called him like a future dystopian grandpa or something like that. And it was kind of cute. You know, I mean, because it's Gabby. She's innocent. Yeah. She's a cutie.
Yeah, most definitely. And then from there was this whole storyline of Madripoor and Laura being triggered to kill again with the trigger scent, and then brought in Angel, Gambit, Marvel Girl, the Queen, Jean Grey. Love her. Will always stand Jean Grey. Love Jean Grey.
Of course.
And then throughout that, Gabby was just trying to be like, no, Laura's trying to help Laura the best she can, obviously, because she can only do so much because Laura is too busy, like sees red because the damn trigger scent that was released upon her. It was a hot mess. I'm like, God damn, Laura, you need to retire, girl. Run away, live in the woods. And even then, that doesn't work either.
Yeah. No, because they would have found her.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I felt so bad, you know, watching Laura on the run. But, you know, I mean, Gabby wants to do everything in her power to help Laura, to save Laura. Yeah, so it's awesome, you know, seeing her. Like you said, you got Gambit, you got Angel, you got Team Jean there, like all trying to help her. Like the ultimate goal is to get her psychically over that trigger scent that she's known her entire life. You know, the Weapon X facility cooked that up when Laura was a child, you know? So it's like, well, if she's not going to kill willingly, then we'll just do this. And yeah, so with their help, you know, with Team Jean's help, they helped Laura defeat the trigger scent, so it won't work on her anymore. I mean, you know, Laura did stab through Gabby.
Thinking it was Jean Grey, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of that, but you know, thankfully it's Gabby and she healed.
It's a healing factor, yeah.
Yeah, so it was all okay, but you know that was all a nice, sweet moment. A lot of people there, you know, trying to help Laura, and you know, I mean, Gabby, you can tell she's willing to do literally anything for Laura because this is the only family she has left. You know, all of the other clones are dead. B'Elanna is off, God knows where, and you know, also all she's got left is Laura. And obviously Jonathan the Wolverine, but still, like, this is her family, and it's really sweet. It's really sweet to see that.
Yeah. And then let's see what happens after that. So then they find out that the town, the people that were murdered in that town in California that Laura thought she did it, turns out it was B'Elanna, who apparently murdered the people in that town, and that Laura was blamed for, and then she was arrested by the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Yeah. And then from there, last thing she told her before S.H.I.E.L.D. took her was, take care of Gabby. And then from there, Laura just like, well, cool. Gabby's now my little sister. I'm her guardian. She's living with me. She's gonna go with me wherever I go. And it's been like that. And that's where from not too long after that is where she takes up the name the Honey Badger. From there.
Oh yeah. That was wonderful.
Right?
It was so funny that it was Akihiro who gave it to her. Like just such an unlikely place. Because like at this point, Akihiro, who now goes by Fang, but I don't know that I need to keep calling him that. But yeah, he was kind of all over the place. There was really no consistency between the way that he was written, because he was like a super serious villain in a couple of books, like Iceman. But then when he would show up in All New Wolverine, he was like sort of heroic. But it was really sweet that he gave her that code name. I specifically remember being like on the internet talking with people, and it's like, when is Gabby going to get a code name? What should her code name be? And people having like different opinions on it. And I remember weeks before whatever issue it was where it was given to her, somebody actually commenting in a Facebook group, Honey Badger. And then that whatever issue it was released, I read it, and I went back and I found that comment, and I'm like, dude, did you read the new issue yet? And he was like, oh my God. It was hilarious. And it's very fitting.
It is.
Yeah. it's really fitting that, Honey Badger. So I really enjoyed that code name. And like everybody, like all the fans love that code name. And, a lot of people still don't want to let go of it. And I get it. And I get it. But I have a theory as to why it was let go. But I don't know the truth, and I don't think anybody's ever going to confirm it.
Ooh. We will get to that when we get to when she changes her name in the current day. She goes by a different name. So when we get to that, you can talk about your theory. So from there, when she does get her name, Honey Badger, was around the time that she and Laura went back to New York. They were tracking down a child trafficking ring, and then they took a trip. They encountered during the trip to Madripoor. Then there was an alien child that crashed in Roosevelt Island. And then that's when Ironheart came into the picture, the alien child spoke Laura's name to Ironheart while they were, with her dying breath, as they put it.
Yeah.
From there, I'm reviewing my notes. Oh, and that's when, again, of course, Gabby does not listen to Laura, and she smuggles herself into the Roosevelt Island and to help the IMA attempt to steal the alien's corpse. So Gabby's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And then what she did, she go do that. She does it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, she put herself in danger because she wanted to be there for her sister. She wanted to be there for Laura.
Of course.
Yeah, again, it just speaks to her loyalty.
Yeah. And of course, she was joined with Logan, Dakin, and Deadpool.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's a good group to have because they all have healing factors on some level.
Yeah, no, it was wild to watch them all trying to work together to heal the people that were all infected on Roosevelt Island. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I know, like, Gabby was like the first one to go down, really, which made sense. Yeah. I mean, she's very young, she's very little. How much can her body take? But still, I mean, that was sweet. That was a sweet story, watching them all work together.
Yeah, and then of course she gets the name Honey Badger from Fang, or Dakin as he's going by currently in that story anyway.
Yeah.
From there, and then of course she contacts Deadpool and she's afraid that Laura won't wouldn't improve. So she ended up calling the aid of Deadpool, I guess, for some advice before they began trashing the place, which I find endearing. I find cool that Deadpool Gabby and Deadpool together. I want to see more of. I know
sure.
because they don't get too much direct contact with each other, but I feel like that would just be a hoot. See more of that.
Yeah. I mean, they've only had, as far as I know, 2 official team-ups by themselves where, a story was dedicated to it. The more recent one, I think it was, Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood or something like that, wasn't quite as good, but it was still nice. But this first one was amazing. It's one of the most fun issues of all new Wolverine, and it's hilarious.
Zombie animals.
Huh?
The zombie animals and stuff.
Yeah, right? That zombie sloth scene is iconic. They're standing there and waiting for it to come, and Deadpool is like, "Do you want anything from the vending machine?" And Gabby's like, "Vengeance!" And something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it's just such an iconic scene.
God, so good.
Yeah, they were so funny together. They were so funny. It was really nice to see, because again, Gabby is just trying to have some innocent fun, killing zombies and burning down a building, and Wade is a moron. He's just an absolute idiot. He's right on Gabby's level, like a teenager, and so it's really nice to see them team up. I hope we can see more of that in the future. I mean, obviously we've got Gabby, in mutant books now, and Wade is currently in mutant books. I don't know what's going to happen with Fall of X, but I hope that their paths cross again soon.
Agreed. Because bring in Deadpool more. Because now I've been kind of staying away from the current Krakoa stuff because I still buy it because I'm trying to catch up on all the Krakoa stuff. So I'm reading from the beginning and catching up to current day. So I'm a bit behind. I'm slowly working my way up. So I'm trying to stay away from spoilers too much, but I do know quite a bit anyway because you can't be on Twitter if you don't really want to know anything. So,
That's true.
But I'm like, where's Deadpool? Is Deadpool on Krakoa? Hello? Because I know Deadpool still has a bunch of his old, his own solo series still going and everything. But I'm like,
yeah. I mean, the gag is that Deadpool isn't a mutant, but also he's closely associated with mutants. Fair. But also lots of mutants hate him.
That's true.
So they don't really want him on Krakoa.
That is true.
Until they eventually do. So if you're catching up, he's going to show up at some point. He's going to stick around.
Yeah. So back to Gabby, the queen. From there with the whole zombie animal, zombie sloth group, iconic. Then we jump back to Laura and Gabby's time on Jean Grey's X-Men.
Yeah.
And then from there, that's where Hank began to track down the people involved in cloning Laura and all those group of projects, while Gabby was becoming fixated on the idea of the birthday after learning that the Stepford Cuckoos.
Oh yeah, that was the X-23 series.
That was the X-23 series.
This was a weird period. So I mean, X-Men Red, I enjoyed for the most part. And it's a team book, and Jean Grey had just returned from the dead again. So
yes, Queen.
So the focus was on her. But what I thought was really neat about X-Men Red was it was Tom Taylor writing, who had written all new Wolverine. So it was great that he decided to bring Laura and Gabby along. I mean,
of course,
Gabby had a lot of funny moments, a lot of funny dialogue, but not much of a focus. But the big takeaway for me is she's on an official X-Men team now. You know, like Honey Badger has made it. She is officially an X-Man, and I thought it was really cool. It was really great to see that. The X-23 series. So yeah. I really enjoyed this series. It was in my opinion, like an objectively great series. My opinion about all the writing, all the issues, the stories, the heart of everything that the writer was getting at. It has some amazing art too. The obvious problem that I had with it, and I just want to get it out of the way, is that we went from Laura being called X-23, killing her abuser, killing her handler, Kimura, by drowning this unbreakable woman, right? And claiming she's not X-23, she's not just a number. She's Laura, she's the daughter of Logan and Sarah, she is Wolverine. And now, all new Wolverine, the series ends, and, X-Men Red, I think, it was part of the way through, if not close to being over. But Logan was coming back. Logan was going to be brought back into Marvel Comics, and I assume the discussion at Marvel went something like, we can't have two Wolverines. Logan is going to come back, and he's going to be Wolverine again, so why don't we make sure to put Laura back in her place and call her X-23? So we got the X-23 series. Again, a great series, but I think that sort of setup, like, oh, hey, you're X-23 again, like, not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
No, fair. I think, honestly, Laura needs to get another code name, but because now since Logan's back, so having two Wolverines is a bit weird. I mean, I don't see a problem with that person, but I can see where people are like, that's confusing. Sure, but yeah, I agree. I don't think she should be called X-23 again, because that has...
Yeah.
That's something that she obviously does not want to be associated with or wants to constantly remember. So I'm hoping that at some point she ends up either they work out a whole thing with the whole Wolverine thing, or she ends up getting a new code name of some sort. That's not related to the X-23. Unless they do a whole story where she's like, I'm going to take back the name and make it my own, then that I can kind of respect that. But it's a matter of like how they're going to go about it with if she keeps that name. So.
Sure. I mean, to each their own. I'm happy with her as Wolverine. To me, she is Wolverine. And I think that we have enough room in the Marvel Universe for two Wolverines. I love to joke around. I love to make fun of Logan. Because what the hell does my opinion matter? The character is coming up on 50 years old. He has a healing factor. He can take it. And if fans can't take me poking fun at him, then whatever. But I call him Wolverine's dad, because I'll be like, hey, I love Wolverine, and post a picture of Laura, and they'll be like, that's not Wolverine. Wolverine's not a girl. And I'm like, okay, bro. But yeah, so I just kind of make the joke that it's Wolverine and Wolverine's dad. But honestly, there's enough room, I think, for two Wolverines. You've got Logan and you've got Laura. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but if you keep reading and you read everything in the Krakoan storyline, something that you already said sort of comes to pass. Yeah, you might find it interesting. I'm personally very happy about it. But yeah, I mean, the whole X-23 thing, it doesn't denote anything good for Laura. So even if she did pick a different code name, I would rather see that happen rather than her go back to X-23.
Agreed.
I didn't mean to start this off on getting off on a tangent that goes down this path.
No.
I just wanted to point it out because again, this series was great. It was written very well. The art, the two major artists on it were amazing. I loved the storylines in here. It's just, again, that premise that threw me off. But yeah, Gabby. The first issue of it opens with Gabby very interested in birthdays, and it's like, like, I want a birthday to celebrate. Like, I want something like that. I'm a clone. I haven't had anything like that, and I want to feel like a person, and that's really sweet. It's really sweet.
Of course. She's never had one, so when she sees the Zephyr Cuckoos celebrate one, she's like, what? I want one. As she should, being a preteen to teenage, in her early teen years, of course you'd want to have a birthday and celebrate it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Zephyr Cuckoos are just nothing, are same thing as she is. The only difference is like a hive mind clone of Emma. So it's like, if they can have birthdays, so can I. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I really like that the contrast in the story of the Cuckoos, who are clones, and then you have Gabby and Laura, who are technically are also clones, and obviously they come into conflict with each other. But it was a really nice way to start off the story. This is something that Gabby sees, and it's like, oh, this is a thing that people do. And if the Cuckoos can do it, I want that for myself too. Like, Gabby wants, she wants to be happy. She wants to feel like a person. And people have birthdays that they may celebrate, and that's what she's asking her big sister for. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of a dark story too. It had a dark turn where they put, they managed to sort of resurrect Sophie and Esme Cuckoo, and then Esme kills Sophie and gets her own psyche implanted into Gabby's body. That was kind of wild. That was kind of wild to watch.
Agreed.
But yeah.
And then from there, that's where we get into the whole Age of X-Men storyline with Gabby and how she, like you said earlier, she's not very nice in this one.
Yeah.
Due to, as you were stating before with your theory, that she doesn't have her memories of being cared for, or as your theory stated earlier, that she grew up differently, as she didn't have Laura or her sisters that cared about her and stuff, so she didn't keep the whole innocent, comedic personality she had in the as traditional Gabby.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the whole Hank thing, and Hank, I swear to God, he's a villain. He's a villain. Beast.
Yeah. It's a little bit more overt these days. For a long time, it was just, hints here and there, and some things were more obvious sometimes than other times. But yeah, it is definitely a little bit more overt these days, but you can definitely see the seeds of it happening over the years.
Oh, yeah. And I keep seeing, I know some stuff that's happening currently, especially with Beast Tangent, currently with Beast, and I'm like, oh, they're really gonna make him a villain at some point. I can see it. I can feel it. He's gonna be a villain. Everyone's gonna look at him and go, because they ignore him like he's a necessary, they'll ignore whatever he's doing because he's doing whatever for the greater good of Krakoa, sure. But then there's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. Something's gonna happen soon. I feel it. That everyone's gonna be like, oh no, Hank, we need to stop. Nope. We need to put him down. Put him down.
Oh, you are in for a trip.
I heard some things. I know some things. I'm like, oh, please, because Hank. I've always thought, especially with Hank, is being very questionable, even from the '90s cartoon, sprinkles of it, and then reading up on him, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's probably worse than you. Probably worse than you think, and probably worse than you know. Yeah.
Because the only Krakoa stuff that I'm reading, probably the podcast and stuff, is on the on the particular character, especially like, for example, Gabby. Otherwise, I'm kind of just waiting to read the blunt of it until like I get through it altogether. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, he's a little bit of like, obviously he's like a brute jerk in Age of X-Man.
Oh yeah.
But like even in the X-23 series, he's a little cold. He's not outright a jackass, but he's a bit cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hank is just like a car on the side of the road that's on fire, and you just can't look away. Like it's bad. It's bad. The more you stick around and watch it, the worse it's gonna get. But you can't look away. So. But
you can't stand too close because then he's gonna suck you into the fire.
That's true. Yeah, he's done that to a lot of the people around him.
And then from there with the Age of X-Men, that's when we come into Krakoa, the current age of the X-Men or the mutant world. And Gabby, first appearance on there, I think it's kind of funny. She's seen playing Spin the Bottle with Logan and Fang.
Yeah.
But instead of kissing whatever the bottle lands on, instead of kissing whoever it is, she claws into their head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's funny.
It is funny. And it's cute. I mean, it's sort of like, okay, that's a Wolverine thing to do.
Yeah.
More than that, it's family bonding because yeah, I mean, it's the three of them. They are technically all related. So
yes.
Yeah.
So it's good to see them all related, all interacting with each other and being like more of a traditional style family in some way, shape, and form. Whatever normality they could have together, it's good to see that there's something there going on.
Yeah, exactly. There's a connection there. They're spending time together, and that's good. But before we go any further with Krakoa, we have the name change.
Name change.
Yeah, which happened literally right before Krakoa. It was like within a month or two of Krakoa happening.
Yes.
Yeah, there was the killing machine, that sort of cyborg thing that was animatronics and weapons and DNA, and somehow the magic and innocence and love of Gabby got through to it. And they found that Robert Chandler, the guy from the all-new Wolverine series, was, back to his old bullshit, and he was trying to make an army of these killing machines. And the thing is that they weren't, actual people, really, because, look what happened to Laura, look what happened to Gabby and her sisters. So why not just make them more machine than anything else? And they'll die off easily, and then you can just sell another one to the next highest bidder. But this was kind of sweet, it's sort of an interesting metaphor, these were literal killing machines, modeled after Laura, and by extension Gabby. They looked like them, but Gabby got through to this one, and it helped Gabby take out like all the other army of clones at Robert Chandler's facility, and it ended up sacrificing itself. And it made Gabby so sad that she couldn't save it, because I'm saying the word it, and Laura kept calling the killing machine it, but Gabby kept referring to it as a person, a her, talking to her, singing to her, eating cookies in the basement at night while talking to her. Like it was part of the family, like there was some humanity in there, as if this ex-assassin was more than a mindless killing machine. And ultimately, Gabby was right, because, like I said, through the magic of love, Gabby got through to her, and the the ex-assassin with the TUOKS on its chest ended up helping her and killing Robert Chandler and sacrificing herself in the process. And ultimately, Gabby takes the code name Scout by the end of that X-23 series, right before Krakoa starts. Gabby's like, no more Honey Badger. I'm going to take the name Scout. And Laura respects that. And a lot of the fandom doesn't.
Yeah.
I understand. Listen, I understand it. I am 100% more of a fan of Honey Badger over Scout. My theory is, and this isn't necessarily an original thought. Somebody posted this on the internet a long time ago. I did confirm its validity, but I don't have a confirmation from Marvel. I don't think anybody does. So the Honey Badger, the animal, is actually the mascot, or at least it was. I don't know if it still is, because I don't keep up with this quote-unquote news source. The Honey Badger is the mascot of Breitbart News, which I'm not going to explain in detail, but to those of you who don't know, it's a very far-right, anti-Semitic publication run by Steve Bannon. And somebody did theorize that Marvel got wind of that and decided to change Gabby's code name. I believe that. You know, I mean, it could be a coincidence. But yeah, that's what I think. I do subscribe to that hypothesis. I think that it is a better code name, but I am totally supportive of Gabby going by not Honey Badger anymore. I just call her Gabby. You know, you don't want to call her Scout, call her Gabby. Or you can still call her Honey Badger, whatever you want to do, but Marvel's not anymore. It's the bottom line.
Yeah. She's going by Scout.
Yeah.
And then I'm sorry, go on.
No. That was it. I wanted to touch on that because that name change was huge. And I just wanted to put out my theory why, before we get more into Krakoa, because, Gabby's had a couple of bigger things come up on Krakoa.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Like being afraid, if I die, will I be resurrected? So basically, outside of the scene, one of the first scenes you see of her is with Logan and Fang. You later see her come up where during the discussion of Madeline Pryor. Now, Madeline Pryor, for those of you who might not know or do know, she is a clone of Jean Grey that was constructed by Sinister. Mr. fucking Nathaniel Essex. Fucking nerd. That's a gay man. That's a gay man. Anyway, that's a weird, convoluted, I don't subscribe to the Nazism of Nathan's backstory retcon bull. I don't subscribe to that. That's weird and doesn't make sense. But Madeline Pryor is a clone created by him. And then, so the conversation of Madeline Pryor, can we resurrect her? Is that a thing? Are they going to do that? They were not originally going to. It's like, clones are not going to be resurrected, except for like a few, like the cuckoos. They can be resurrected. I don't know if Laura was on that list. I'm assuming yes, because I know they have like a very select few clones that they would bring back. The cuckoos, and then like there might be like a few others, but I know for sure they would be.
At this point, I think Tom Taylor wrote a mini-series when Logan was being brought back to life, because there were at least 20 comics surrounding him just coming back from the dead, which of course. Oh yeah. But in one of those mini-series, Tom Taylor, I think it was anyway, wrote that the confirmation that Laura isn't technically a clone of Logan. She's more like his actual daughter.
That's right. I forgot about that. You're right.
I don't know if every writer since has followed that. I feel like Sloan was mentioned somewhere else recently in regards to Laura. I could be wrong. I don't remember offhand if she was mentioned in this issue of New Mutants that we're discussing, but yeah, I mean, you raise exactly the big point here is the discussion of a clone being resurrected on Krakoa, and Gabby is, there's no question about it, Gabby is a clone.
Of Laura.
She is.
Yeah.
And so it's like, the question is, well, wait a second. Why are we just resurrecting some clones and not others? Why are the Cuckoos okay? Am I going to be okay? Do I have to die to find out? Am I going to come back? You know, what about Evan Sabanur? You know, Kid Apocalypse. Why isn't he back? But you're not going to allow Maddie back. But wait a second. Mr. Sinister is sitting on the Quiet Council. Apocalypse, who has murdered scores of people, is sitting on the Quiet Council. And you're going to draw the line at Madeline Pryor? She raised very good ethical question, in my opinion.
Most definitely, because like Sinister be popping out clones like it's no tomorrow. Are we sure that's, I mean, I think that's actually like the Sinister, but like, if he was a clone, if he were to die, would you bring him back? Of course you would, because he's useful. Because the clones they bring back, obviously, is because they have a use to Charles and the other members of the Quiet Council, and they don't want to bring back Madeline because, she's gonna be a problem.
Right.
And I'm just like, girl, she's not come back one way or another anyway.
Yeah, for real. And thank God, by the way, I love her.
Oh, thank God. I love Dark Web. I spoiled myself. I have to read it, and it's so good. So good. I'm so excited for Dark X-Men. I'm ready.
Yeah, definitely.
But, Gabby had some good points of like, if I'm going to die, are you going to bring me back? Am I fucked? Like, hello? I don't want to die. And then from there, with that marvelous conversation, Maddie did come get resurrected because of Havoc put in a word for it. And Havoc.
Yeah, Havoc.
Yeah, Havoc. I was right. Havoc. Poor Havoc goes through hell. When I do finally get around doing finding somebody that wants to do Havoc, boy, that's gonna be a lot. But Gabby, from there, she would let her start. She's pretty much premiering in what? She's pretty much in the New Mutants. So Gabby was obviously put up some good points about clones and bringing them back, and why are you bringing back some clones and not others? AKA Gabby, is because they're not useful to Charles and freaking Mira. Don't even get me started on that girl. She's a mess, a villain, evil. Anyway, from there we jump over to her, and she notices, or she's concerned, rightfully so, that a bunch of her friends are spending a lot of time with the Shadow King.
Yeah.
Which I'm just like, wait, hold up. Why would you let the Shadow King in here? I can understand maybe Apocalypse, maybe. I can understand some of the other villains, but the Shadow King?
Damn.
That's a choice.
That's kind of a funny sentence. I mean, no offense. You can understand Apocalypse, can't understand Shadow King. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing though. Like, they haven't drawn a line. Krakoa is for all mutants, right? Like,
yeah, that's true.
Even though Shadow King went toe to toe with Xavier himself, long time ago.
Eons.
And he's caused so many problems. But a lot of them have. But I agree with you. Like, how are these kids gonna go chill with the Shadow King?
And no one's worried. No one's a little concerned.
Yeah, leave it to Gabby. She's the only one.
She's the only smart one in the room.
Yeah.
So I'm like, granted, I'm not too surprised they let the Shadow King in, because granted, they have Nathaniel Essex on the Quiet Council. Honestly, that's the most questionable choice that they've ever made. Is that
Yeah.
putting Sinister there?
Yeah.
That's just my choice. But the Shadow King, I'm like, when I first read it, I'm like, what? I was like, am I reading this right? And of course, Gabby's the only one that's concerned, but she can't say anything to Laura because Laura's not even there. She's on some mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, well, and no one else is going to help. So I guess I'm going to have to confront him myself. And what happens? She ends up dead.
Yeah, she freaking dies. That's so sad, you know. It's like for real. Laura's not around. Her brother, and she even called him out. You know.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I think it was when Martha was steering her body. Like, you're just too busy for me and trying to get into Aurora's pants. It's like, you know, none of the adults are paying attention to what might be going on. So Gabby goes it alone. And mysteriously ends up dead, and it's like, oh, who could have done that?
Who could have done that? I wonder who.
Maybe she slipped and fell and hurt. Or so, yeah,
of course.
I don't know. Yeah,
because that would do it, right? Just slip and fall, you know, crack a skull open or some shit, or fry a brain, you know.
And
then
this is a wild story. It really was.
It is, and then a bunch of her friends are worried. So it's No Girl, Rainboy, Cosmar, and then who was the other one? There's one more. Anol. Yeah. Those 5. They're like, oh no, they're not gonna resurrect her. We can do it. We're gonna resurrect her. And they're basically just playing puppet with a dead corpse.
That was so weird. Oh, this was.
They tried. I will give it to them. They tried. They really wanted to succeed. Because they were afraid that they weren't going to be able, that the 5 or the Quiet Council were going to allow Gabby to come back. But lo and behold, the 5 said, fuck what the Quiet Council said, and they went ahead and brought her back anyway.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. That made me so happy.
Right? I was a little worried.
Yeah, they even wrote, you know, a letter, like you all need to come up with a better definition because your narrow definition of this right now is not helpful. I think it was even Proteus that said, you know, if anybody on the council has a problem with it, like, they're gonna have to talk to us first, so don't even worry about it. You're fine. And I loved that attitude. And I loved the support that she got from her friend. Yeah, it was like disturbing to watch Martha steer that body and nobody knew except for, you know, the friends. But ultimately they were doing it because they cared. You know, I mean, they were initially pissed at her because she was, you know, concerned that they were hanging around with Shadow King and switching bodies and shit like that. But, you know, I mean, they were talking about how she's always been there for them and what a good friend that she is. And it's Gabby. She wants to see the best in everybody. She, you know, I mean, it's what she desires. She desires connection. She desires understanding other people. And she clearly loves having friends. And, you know, it was wonderful to see the 5, like, you know, the most important people in this era of Krakoa being like, yeah, of course we're going to resurrect her. And don't worry, if anybody talks any shit, we'll take care of them. It was really nice.
But the weird thing about it was, because the last thing she said she remembered was seeing the Shadow King and Rain, and she felt pain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh?
Yeah.
When she's not supposed to.
Yeah. And
then she felt obviously nothingness because she was dead. But I'm like, she felt pain.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's something someone was planting. The writer planted something there. And I'm like, ooh. Oh, that's going to suck if she starts feeling pain again and she just like goes on missions and stuff and gets mauled or stabbed or whatever. Oh, that's going to suck.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, you know, we know it's the Shadow King. Yeah, like we knew shit was gonna go south right from the beginning. And I mean, like, kudos to the creative team here, Vita Ayala and Rod Reese. First of all, Rod Reese just absolutely kills it on art. He's amazing. He's to me, he's like a modern Sienkiewicz. He's definitely got his own style, but that's what I see. And Vita just does great character work. Obviously Vita was the first one to really step in and try to give Madeline Pryor redemption, and did a great job of it.
Yes, most definitely.
But here we actually get Shadow King with a backstory and an arc, and it's like not quite redemption, but sorta, because there's Amal Farouk, and then there's Shadow King, and those are two separate things. But Shadow King has resided within Amal Farouk for basically his entire life since he was a child. Yeah.
It's kind of like a whole Phoenix Force, Phoenix Haus situation, sort of. Yeah.
But that was So I really enjoyed that, and obviously it worked perfectly in the New Mutants book.
Yeah.
Because so we get the New Mutants, so we're getting a lot of focus on these younger kids who are training to use their powers. But we're also seeing the classic team. You've got Danny, you've got Karma, you've got Ilyana, you've got Rain. And so you've got these characters who have dealt with the Shadow King in the past. And someone like Karma, who has been, unfortunately, under his control in the past. So, I thought that this was a great series to be telling this story. And Vita did a great job of it. And then again, Rod Reese just killed it on the art, because there's a lot of trippy art. You see like biblically accurate angels and shit in here, and it's just really cool.
Oh, most definitely. And this would be the last. Well, I don't think she's appeared since that. Because that happened not that long ago, so she hasn't appeared since.
She's had a handful of appearances since New Mutants. She's actually currently appearing in what's it called? New Mutants Lethal Legion, which is a miniseries spun out of the end of New Mutants proper. She's currently hanging out with Escapade, a trans woman mutant that first appeared in last year's Pride issue. And so Escapade was appearing in like the final bunch of issues of New Mutants and is now featured in New Mutants Lethal Legion. And Gabby's appearing too. Escapade wants to rob Count Nefaria. And so Escapade's going in undercover to become part of his Lethal Legion, and she just plans on robbing him, essentially. And Gabby went along for the ride. That's currently ongoing. There's only a couple of issues out at this time, but it's cute. It's cute. It's enjoyable.
Okay, I did miss that, so I'm gonna go back and read that for myself. Okay. That works.
They're very new. They're very new. Like within the past couple of months, this series just started. It's a cute series, though. I'm very happy that Escapade, a trans mutant, is getting like the spotlight. I'm very happy that a trans writer created her and is currently writing this. It's fun. Like it's just fun. I'm enjoying it.
Now the most important question.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the MCU?
Yeah. I like the movies. They're fun.
If Gabby was cast in the MCU, who would you have play her?
Oh God, what the fuck? I have no idea how to answer that. Because I am not so.
Well, Gabby a very hard one, because how many child actors do people really know or pay attention to? So, or like teenage actors, like, see where that would be a challenge. Because I just thought that, I'm like, who would play Gabby? And I'm like, I don't even know who to even look for.
Oh, hang on. I gotta look up this actress right now. hang on. So she was in Haunting of Hill House, and she was amazing in that. And she was recently in Megan, which I did not see, but I hope she did a great job. She's got the look down. Violet McGraw is her name. Yeah. She's 12.
Oh, yes.
I just looked her up on Google. She's 12 years old. Again, she played young Nellie on Haunting of Hill House, and she was recently in Megan, and that's who I cast as Gabby.
Yes, most definitely yes. When you mentioned Megan, I'm like, okay, I know who you're talking about. Yes, yeah. I think she played a good Gabby.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, you know, again, I saw her. She was a bunch of years younger in Haunting of Hill House, but she did a great job. Yeah. And she's got the look. She just looks like she could be Gabby, for real. So there you go. Why?
Definitely.
Do you have a choice? Do you have a pick?
Not for Gabby, because I was just thinking, I got the idea, and I'm like, maybe I should ask people, like, after each episode, if they were in the MCU, what actor would play them? And I'm like, I'm trying to think of one for Gabby, and I'm like, I couldn't think of one. Because some of these other characters I plan doing, I do have ideas for, but I'm like, okay, I want to make this a reoccurring question, because I wasn't prepared for doing it. It was on a whim to ask that. Okay. Because I'm like, that'd be a fun question to ask at the end of each episode. So I'm more prepared for future ones. But that's a good choice. That is a good choice for Gabby. And I'm curious to see. I would not be surprised if they did add her in the MCU, especially when they start doing the actual like mutants and the X-Men and stuff. And they bring in, because I'm sure they're going to do Laura. Obviously, they're going to do Laura at some point.
Oh God, I honestly I have mixed thoughts and feelings on mutants in the MCU, but just without putting any deep thought behind it, I need to see Laura in the MCU, and honestly, I'm trying not to get my hopes up, but the fact that Hugh Jackman is coming back as Wolverine for Deadpool 3, and it sounds like it's going to be a sort of multiverse type of thing.
Yeah.
I need to see Daphne Keane come back as Laura. Even if it's just a bit, even if, they stop by one universe and they're there for 3 minutes, just please, let's see her now. She's a little bit older now. I think she's right around the age that Laura is. Give her something similar to a Wolverine suit and just put her in front of the camera for a minute and just let us be happy.
Because Logan was a bomb-ass movie.
Oh my God, that is oh my God, that movie is
It's so like good. Fox, that right there, you need to do more of that. You should have done more of that. Right there, that movie. You should have done more of it.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Yeah, that's like the best X-Men related movie. It's definitely my favorite. It's one of my favorite superhero movies. It's just it's so sad, but it's just like so well done. So well done.
Most certainly is.
So hoping to see Daphne Keane as Laura again, just once.
Oh yes, most definitely. So that concludes Gabby Kinney and all her appearances as of currently, and as time recording of May 5th, 2023. This will probably be released 2 months later, but that's fine. As of right now, those are all the appearances of Gabby Kinney, aka Scout. I'm sure she's going to be around for quite some time. I'm curious to see how they're going to utilize her in Fall of X when we all get to it. So any final thoughts? You want to plug yourself in for anything? Your Twitter, Instagram, if you have anything working on your any other stuff that you want to plug, you're more than welcome to do so.
Oh, thanks. I don't know. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Jonathan Loves X-Men. Again, the @ is Jonathan_EFF. You can find me on Instagram at Jonathan_loves_X-Men. I again, like, Marvel comics are great, and I do read other comics too, but I am all in on the X-Men, always have been and always will be. So if you want to see some cool X-Men art, if you want to see some spoilers, if you want to hear some shitty jokes, or see some funny takes or opinions, give me a follow. And don't be a dick. And also, trans rights are human rights.
Period. So, on that note, thank you guys for listening to today's episode. Catch us next time as I discuss another character in the Marvel Universe with another guest. Until then, peace out. I will eventually figure this out,